The legendary copywriter and entrepreneur Joe Sugarman passed away last week. If you're involved in the copywriting space online, it's probably not breaking news to you. But I had met him a few times and I'd seen him speak multiple times. He was at the Titans of Direct Response. He was one of the Titans up on stage there. And he did absolutely make an impression on me, even though my relationship with him didn't really go beyond like conversations in hallways at these conferences. And I consider myself a student of Joe Sugarman. I mean, I have the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. His book Triggers is also an excellent book. The triggers are actually broken down in the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. He was the guy behind BluBlockers sunglasses, the marketing success that was. He was famous before that for writing these ads that appeared in all these publications for his JS&A group that sold all sorts of interesting electronics gadgets. He at one point got permission to create all these Batman credit cards, and right as they were about to launch, they got shut down, and like the authorization to use the Batman persona and logo got revoked, and so he had a garage full of these Batman credit cards that he would give out to lots of people, and so he was such an incredible force in direct response in copywriting that I would be doing him and perhaps you a disservice to not share what I think is one of his core, for everything that he taught, for everything that he wrote about, for everything that he demonstrated through the way that he showed up in his business life. There's one core lesson that really sticks with me, that like, this is Joe Sugarman. And I want to share that with you in today's episode. These are the proven direct response marketing, copywriting, and entrepreneurship success strategies you can use today to write your own ticket and create the life you want. I am Roy Furr, and this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Now, here's today's breakthrough. Okay, so Joe Sugarman, he rose to like this, and I'm not going to do any special sponsorship in this episode, by the way. I'm going to link you through to the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. Hopefully some proceeds from that, even if you buy it today, go to his family. But Joe Sugarman, like, for all the things that he taught and all the incredible, like, he was one of the first people to use 800 numbers to respond to advertising. He was one of the first people to take credit card orders to respond to advertising. Like, you used to have to fill out the order form and send in a check, and then he started taking credit card numbers. He was an innovator in so many different ways. He sold BluBlockers sunglasses with infomercials. He became internationally famous for multiple businesses that he ran that were successful. And he truly was a tremendous force in copywriting, marketing, entrepreneurship. And so somebody like that, you might think, oh, they could justify getting up on stage and talking about all their successes when they get invited to events like he was called a Titan of direct response. That's like a high honor, right? And by no less than Brian Kurtz and Dan Kennedy, who would absolutely know if someone had earned their spot as a Titan of direct response. But when Joe got up on stage, he didn't spend all his time trumpeting his successes and making himself look great. Joe got up on stage and he overemphasized, to the point of just ridiculous humor, how many times he failed, how many things went wrong, how many times he tried things that didn't work, how consistently he put himself out there and got beaten and bruised and battered and had to get up, dust himself off again, and go back at it. And for all his success, it would be easy for Joe to do what so many people like to do because our egos are too fragile to admit failure. And he could have just filled his hours of talking from the stage, talking about the successes. But instead, in these rooms full of entrepreneurs, these rooms full of marketers and copywriters who go out there every day, who try things that don't work, who sometimes face rather frustrating and even devastating failures, Joe said, hey, I'm one of you. I have done a ton of things that didn't work. I'm known today for the things that did. And the way that I was able to achieve success in all the ways that I was able to achieve success was because I kept getting up. I kept, getting back in there. I kept trying again. And those successes are remembered long after the dozens and dozens and dozens of failures. And so he would tell, and I didn't memorize, so I can't tell you off the top of my head, but he would tell story after story of all the things that didn't work. And he would laugh at himself the whole time because in hindsight, many of the things that didn't work, it's obvious why they didn't work. It's obvious why they failed, right? But he thought they were the best thing to do at the time. And so he tried them and then they didn't work. And there was such a radical honesty to him and a lack of that fragile ego that demands to be seen as right all the time, and such a prevalence of that stronger, deeper ego that is able to be wrong and not be hurt by it, that is able to fail and not be hurt by it. This stronger sense of self that's more grounded in hey, I'm okay. This in this, I don't know if you call it spirit, I don't know what you call it, but it's the spiritual grounding of, hey, I'm just doing this thing and I'm trying to make it work. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to be okay. Even if it might hurt a little bit, even if I might scratch my elbow from falling down, I'm going to be okay. And in that, it was such an example, such an incredible example for us as entrepreneurs and marketers and copywriters to have somebody like Joe who had these products, these brands that were known around the world and certainly all across America, to have somebody like Joe just saying, hey, I did a lot of things that didn't work. And I'm here standing on this stage because I was willing to get back in there. I was willing to keep doing things that didn't work on my path to finding the things that did. And then when I found a few things that worked, I really leaned into them and made the most of them. And that's what we all have to do as entrepreneurs. Our failures are honestly more interesting than our successes. We all want to hear successes because we want to feel like there's a shortcut. But to know that somebody failed, to know that somebody struggled, to know that somebody had hardships and faced setbacks and, ran into challenges over and over again and still succeeded, well, that's way more inspiring than somebody who just had success after success. And the other thing is it's true. And the great thing is that with all those failures, we can learn from them. And I think so many of the lessons that Joe taught were based on having tried other things that didn't work and then having tried things that did work. And he was able to say, hey, this doesn't work. This does. So you could certainly try what doesn't work. And if that's what it takes, if you need to fail too, to learn from it, you can do that. Or you can copy the things that I've learned that do work. And the key is even if you try something that worked for Joe, it may not work for you, but you can still follow in Joe's footsteps, learn from this number one lesson, and fail forward. Meaning you learn from the failures and you grow from that learning, from that experience. And as you learn from those failures and as you grow from that experience, you're able to you're able to avoid what doesn't work more often, and you're able to do what does work more often. And that's what for Joe led to things like JS&A being this huge electronics brand. in terms of like direct response, mail order, electronics gadgets, and then BluBlockers being this tens of millions of units sold sunglasses company, I believe. Before sunglasses, I don't know. Sunglasses have always been one of those accessories that have rabid followings, but BluBlockers definitely, they had their day in the sun as far as being a very chic sunglass company, and it became a huge brand. And Joe became very financially successful from that, as far as I understand, and had a lot of lessons from his time at JS&A and from his time at BluBlockers and from his time doing all sorts of other direct response things that we don't know as well, that are not as familiar of stories. Joe had a lot of lessons to teach us as a lifelong entrepreneur. And I feel fortunate to have connected with him, to have gotten especially this big lesson. I mean, there's lots of copywriting lessons in the Adweek Copywriting Handbook. Lots of copywriting lessons. It's a great book. It's one of the best-selling copywriting books on Amazon continuously, and I'm sure it will continue to be well into the future. It's also one of the best books that's written in the last couple decades on copywriting. Like it's a very good book on copywriting, and it comes from this person who was not necessarily just trying to be a copywriting guru. It came from this person who went in there and he did a bunch of things involving copywriting, involving marketing, involving entrepreneurship. And he had a lot of successes and he had a lot more failures. And he loved to emphasize that point. And for the benefit of the rest of us, he chose to write those stories down and to share. And so, yeah, thanks, Joe. Out there somewhere, maybe you hear me saying thank you. And I appreciate your influence to me as a copywriter, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, and really do value the time that you dedicated to teaching us as copywriters, marketers, and entrepreneurs. So with that, I'm Roy Furr. This is your daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. And if you want more from me, certainly like this video, subscribe, comment, share your Joe Sugarman stories with this episode. And I'll catch you again in the next episode. I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.